What's going on, everybody? It's another week, another Buccaneers loss, another Bucking hangover. I can't anymore. I can't anymore. Mike, take over. You drive today. I can't do this.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We never rehearsed this. You didn't tell me to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I think this is the part where we hit the intro. Somebody throw this intro up.
Intro's up. Oh my gosh! Well done, Mike. Thank you for taking that off my shoulders this week. I can't with this team anymore. This is going to be a pretty raw episode. Welcome to week 11 of the Bucking Hangover. It's your host Moose, and as you saw, we've got our co-host Emrod is here this week. How are you doing, Emrod?
Hey, I'm doing well. You put me on the spot. I was not sure what to say or what to do. Lost the feeling in my hands, so they were just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, you did okay. You pulled it
But I
together.
recovered.
Pulled it together for the show. I appreciate that.
Hey,
I don't even know where to start.
I'm
It's
glad I'm glad I was clutch on the intro, unlike the Buccaneers and Jameis Winston.
well, you didn't let the opportunity roll around your hands and on your back and into the defender's hands, if you will.
Hey,
Definitely.
we really need to get more information on that before we make judgment. Maybe he was trying to start and one football where you get like style points for things and trying to do like a behind the back kind of deal. So,
Maybe I guess the Buccaneers need any points that they can get these days.
hey,
I'd be in for that kind of an and once now the professor of the NFL. I could see that OJ Howard, the
the
professor,
answer.
the answer. So everybody, welcome to Bucking Hangover, your source of therapy for Buccaneers losses. And now I think we're up to. Are we at 3-7 or 3-8 football team now?
We're at 3-7.
All right, good. Three
We
and
just
seven
finished our
football
10th
team.
game of the year.
Week 11 of the NFL season. We had our bye week. Great. So it's not as bad as we thought. We haven't not clinched. We haven't clinched the losing season yet. So that there's still hope, but not very much. As we always do, we start out by talking about the game and going over a few key stats. Uh, I watched this on and off as Red Zone would let me, just being out of the viewing area. I know Mike was having some family time and was catching up on highlights. I know you're paying attention to the game on your phone, but that, I think you're looking at the stat line above us at our ticker. Our leading rusher, Jameis Winston, two attempts, 23 yards. That for me right there, I think encapsulates what went wrong in this game. When your leading rusher is a quarterback and his name isn't Lamar Jackson and he's only running for 23 yards, you're gonna have a bad time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you couldn't get anything going on the ground. Obviously, that's a formula for not well. Usually, just that indicates two things: either you're playing from behind by a lot, and your offensive line sucks, so you're not able to get anything moving on the ground, and you have to throw because you are forced to throw because you are down by a lot, and which we know at one point we were down 20-0. So the whole running game really had to get put behind us, and that's actually pretty sad. I mean, I know you said 8 rushing attempts the whole game. Does
Eight
that
rushing
include?
attempts the whole game. Like I don't even know how that's possible. Like how in your game plan? And I understand we were down big early and basically forced to pass every play, but how it just I don't know how you don't mix in a run in there. I
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were down late, but I mean, first 2 points. I mean, first two scores for the Saints were two field goals. So, I mean, we just never got anything down running early, unfortunately. Ronald Jones. I mean, two of the rushes were Jameis Winston for 23 yards. Um, Peyton Barber had no rushes this game. Ronald Jones had four rushes,
four now.
13 yards, and then Dare Agumbawe, 2 carries, 0 yards. I mean, there was just nothing that was able to be done on the ground in this game.
And well, we'll talk about it when we get to kind of our hot topics or what went wrong with the game. But it's just the offensive line seems to be getting worse and worse as the season goes on. we had, I mean, I think the middle of the line played okay. Ryan Jensen had a pretty garbage game. Seemed like he didn't know when or how to snap footballs.
Yeah.
I mean, Ali Marpet did okay, but our tackles. I mean, our tackles struggled with Cam Jordan. They struggled with blitzing coverage. The running backs struggled with helping in protection. Like it was just a crap show. I mean, it was terrible watching the offensive line perform and regress because we've had some solid games from our offensive line. And I mean, I know we've talked about this before a couple weeks ago when we played the Saints, and they are, I would consider them an elite front seven, but to be struggling after playing them already and kind of doing okay, I don't know. The coaching is not there for me, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also with the Saints, another thing here also is Mike Evans. For some reason, that is his kryptonite. Whenever he plays the Saints, he gets held down a lot. As you can see, he had 4 catches, 69 yards. Most of that came in the fourth quarter. I think when it came down to the halftime, he was at possibly, I think he was at only at 2 catches at that point. So, I mean, there's not much Mike Evans can do there. I mean, our leading receiver was a tight end that we have not heard much from this year,
That's right.
Cameron Brate.
And that's all. The only thing that went well for this team, this game, was Cameron Brate's performance to get us on the plus side of offense. Basically, 78 yards receiving for him on 10 catches.
And then you have Chris Godwin having a career year, a great receiving year. I think through the first 6 weeks was possibly the number 1 receiver fantasy wise at least, and he 3 catches, 47 yards. That's all he was able to do there. I mean, he did catch that 1 touchdown. The Peyton Barber had 2 catches, 11 yards. 1 happened to be a touchdown, and Scotty Miller out of nowhere, 4 catches, 71 yards, and he had that long 48 yard reception, which he got down at the 1 yard line, which led into Peyton Barber's touchdown, but that one was kind of scary there too. We went all the way down to 4th down. I was kind of worried that the Bucs were going to either run away with a field goal or get that ball turned over after Jameis fumbled that snap.
When that happened, I was like, oh my! It's like, yep, this is how this game is going to go right here. The perfect embodiment of the game is Jameis fumbling a 2nd down snap to lose 5 yards when it's 1st and goal from the 1. And you know what? It kind of brings up the Seahawks point where I was complaining about us scoring so quickly. I'm like, you know what? We should do that all the time. Just go and score points immediately when it's 1st and goal. Let's not take our time. And I think we saw exactly why, because we decided to put it into reverse for a couple plays and make things interesting, I guess. I don't know why they get so excited about making us suffer.
I agree. And another thing that O.J. Howard was a player that I was always really excited about. I thought he was going to be the top 5 tight end in last year and this year. And I'm even talking about fantasy wise. I expected him to be up there. But he just, something about him, he has the talent. He's got the skill set. He's got the height.
He's got the size. I mean, he had such a great career in Alabama. I mean, I don't know what the Bucs have swung and missed at the tight end position, drafting tight ends the last couple times. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with, just to his defense is Bruce Arians never been a coach to really utilize a tight end that much, maybe a couple targets a game, but he uses tight end more primarily as a blocker. And so when he gets those opportunities, he has to shine. And this game, he had that behind the back one. I think last game he also had one that bounced off him and he fumbled. Not fumbled, but deflected off him. That was another interception. He's really struggling. I mean, he has all the talent, but he's just not displaying it there on Sundays. So maybe we probably should have made that trade with the Patriots and gave the Patriots him for whatever they were offering, I think a 1st-round pick or something.
There's no way they were offering a 1st round. That doesn't seem like a Belichick move.
The trade deadline. I mean, he did give up a 2nd-rounder for Mohamed Sanu. So
yeah.
So I mean, I'm not sure what they were giving, but if it was a 1st-rounder, I'd say we should have taken it. But
if it was a 2nd-rounder, we definitely should not have taken it because we would have blown that pick. So as history shows, it looks like your camera's having a lot of fun today again with the resizing. So pardon us if you're watching us on YouTube. sometimes Skype likes to play with our emotions and resize Emrod for some reason.
Yeah, apologize about that. I have a new camera coming in. Will be here Thursday,
Yep, there it
so
is
hopefully
again.
next time we record, these issues have been resolved. So
One can only hope. We're just gonna keep you at your normal size here for now. Uh, but yeah, I think I'm on board with you. It's been really disappointing. He was one of my draft picks in my other league, and he has been very extremely disappointing this year. Finishing up the game stats, of course, Jameis forced to throw 51 times, which again begs a question, or begs the fact we only had 59 plays on offense. If he threw 51 times and we ran 8 times, 59 plays. And I didn't bother to look what the uh, Saints numbers were, but I'm pretty sure they were nearing 40 minutes in time of possession. They were just absolutely destroying us on time of possession.
yeah,
Uh,
well, when you have a running back such as Alvin Kamara, who I mean, the Bucks made him seem like they have KY jelly all over him because it takes about 4 or 5 touches to be able to bring him down to the ground.
we were not good at tackling.
I mean, he's going to get first downs, and with those first downs, they're going to control the clock. I mean, they had a total of,
37 minutes on time of possession.
yep, and that's just typical. And you add in, the mixture of 4 interceptions, so we're giving them the ball 4 times to go ahead and drain the clock some more. I mean, that's just a recipe for failure. I mean, did they have any turnovers? I know Breeze had no interceptions over there.
I don't think the Bucks forced a turnover at all.
Okay, it looks like Kamara had a fumble, but it was recovered by his own team. So they had no turnovers there at all in New Orleans. And I mean, it's basically the way every game always goes. It's, a game of turnovers. And a team that has the most turnovers typically are going to lose pretty much every single time. And right here it shows it again. And look at all of our losses so far this year. We've had at least 4+ turnovers.
Yeah. And then, of course, our only shining star on defense being Devin White, 13 tackles. I think we maybe had 1 sack in the game, but for the most part, Drew Brees had a clean white jersey for most of the game. Let's go into what went terribly, and other than Cameron Braid, I would argue that most everything went terribly. I think most disappointing. We talked about the offensive line a little bit. Pretty much terrible tackle play. I don't know if we were calling protections correctly or even helping them out at this point. I also hated a lot of the offensive play calling. You remember maybe a month or two ago we were kind of lauding Byron Leftwich for his play calling, but I don't know what's happened because it's just not creative and it's very predictable. And I think it's part of the problem why Jameis isn't succeeding.
Yeah, offensive line play. He's been sacked over 30 something times.
He got hit 12 times in this game. Like not just like hurried and there was pressure. He literally was hit 12 times in this game.
Let me check something real quick. I'm curious to see where he ranks among sacks. Because he's at least in close to 40 times he's been sacked.
Because they have just been turnstiles lately. I think they opened
I was
up.
right. He does lead the league in sacks.
He leads the league in sacks and interceptions. Wow, I wonder if there's a correlation.
He's been sacked 36
Who's second?
times.
Who's second?
Kyler Murray.
Oh, that's surprising actually. With his evasiveness, talk about a bad offensive line. That's a rough offensive line as well. How many times has Kyler Murray been sacked?
35.
35. Okay.
And Daniel Jones 32.
Yeah, I mean, I guess those are all bad football teams. All three of them. They are not good football teams.
Number 4 is a decent team. Houston Texans 31.
Yeah.
With Deshaun Watson. The least sacked quarterback. See, they got some quarterbacks here. Tom Brady's been sacked 16 times. Brissett 15. Mahomes only 11 times.
He's been out a couple of games, right?
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, these stats are a little skewed because they got quarterbacks like Eli Manning in here. So I'm just trying to look at starters.
I think another question that came up, at least when I was watching the game, is where was this feared pass rush? I mean, a couple weeks ago,
Drew Brees only been sacked 7 times this year. I mean,
he,
granted, he has
he's
missed a
out
lot
for
of
six
games.
games, so
Yeah.
that's yeah. So I think he's played what, 3 games,
But
maybe
looking at his
4.
list real quick, it looks like the quarterback who's played the most games with the least amount of sacks is Dak Prescott with 12.
Wow, but again, I would say the Cowboys have a pretty decent offensive line.
Yeah, they definitely do have a good one.
They haven't been running very well lately, but so as I was saying, man, I lost my train of thought there. Pass rush. Where did our pass rush go? A couple weeks ago, they looked pretty decent in Seattle. We saw them in person. They had an okay game last week against Arizona, but ultimately things have been on the decline ever since that huge performance by Shaq Barrett a couple weeks ago. Was that the Rams game where he had 3 or 4 sacks? So that was a home game.
It was against the Giants,
Right,
like
against the
4.
Giants, right? He had a
Week
huge,
3.
and he's up to 11 and a half sacks, but his pace has dramatically dropped. We're really not getting any pressure up the middle. Vita Vea, I'd say he's had a good year, but he's definitely not pressuring the quarterback. It's certainly not like the pressure Jared McCoy, unbelievably, is now getting in Carolina.
Yeah.
And then
And we got JPP back, so we're expecting like even a better pass rush there.
yeah,
But
I mean, and it happened when the first game he was back. He got his sack. He played. They played well, I would say, relatively in Seattle, but it looks like it's not sustainable, or maybe the Saints are really just that good.
yeah,
I think it's a combination of both. So let's look at our standings, and again, as I always do every week, I thank all the NFC South teams for not making me move their icons at all. It's been a really easy ticker slide to make. Saints
well,
are.
I will tell you that you will have to slide the icon next week
It's
between the
funny.
Bucks and the Falcons.
As I was making it, I'm like, I guess I'll leave them since it's 3-7. I'll leave the Bucks in third place, but I think you're absolutely right, and we'll talk about the Falcons in a moment. I think we might be seeing the Bucks sliding down to number 4 here, but Saints absolutely running away with the division at 8-2 now. Panthers looking like they're trending down. I think Kyle Allen's been exposed a little bit. Yeah. So be interesting to see where Carolina ends up. I don't really peg them as a playoff team unless Christian McCaffrey. I don't know how much more, how much better of a job he can do carrying this team, other than also playing quarterback or pulling out the Wildcat to let him play some quarterback. I don't know. I don't know if the Panthers make the playoffs this year. But again, the big story: San Francisco 9-1. A big, impressive showing still from the 49ers. And Jimmy G actually had to win a game for him. Even though it was against the Cardinals, he pulled it off, though.
And the San Francisco 49ers have actually looked great this year. And that Seahawks game, I know, is their only loss, but that game went down all the way to overtime, always the final minute of overtime. It was a great game. It could have gone either way. But San Francisco still looking like the real deal.
I think they got a tough Sunday night game this upcoming week. I think they play the Packers.
Oh yeah, and that's gonna be a good challenge.
It's
The thing is,
Sunday night game.
I'm still very skeptical about Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, he did play great against the Cardinals, but so did Jameis Winston, and so did every other quarterback. Usually play pretty well against that passing defense there of the Cardinals. So my biggest concern about 49ers, if I was them and I was their fans, is still Jimmy Garoppolo. Can he win you a game? And when the ball was put on his back there against the Seattle Seahawks, he could not get the job done.
He did have a couple. There were some drops, though.
Yeah, he did have some drops. Emmanuel Sanders did get hurt early. So San Francisco, that's an indication that you need to make a splash in free agency or in the draft this year and get you another receiver besides Emmanuel Sanders.
So now moving on to what's next for the Buccaneers. Of course, Week 12 coming up on the 24th, next Sunday. Their first matchup this year against the Atlanta Falcons, the destroyers of parlays. I have them. They have been on a tear the last 2 weeks. We've questioned their offense, we've questioned their defense, and both have come to play big victories, a big surprise against the Saints, which we talked about on $10 Sports last week. I was very happy I did not play any. I didn't partake in any betting the week before because I know that Saints Falcons game would have screwed everything I ever bet on. And then just a big surprise this past week, beating the Panthers in Carolina, basically almost shutting them out. So, what do you think is next for the Buccaneers?
Um, Buccaneers, I don't think they're going to get shut out. The game is it at home or is it at
So that's it. I think they're in Atlanta.
Atlanta? I actually went to the game last year, Bucks Atlanta. Nice stadium, good concessions. So that was a good bright spot about it. But what's going to happen next week is Matt Ryan is just going to throw for about 400 yards. I mean, that's all he's got to do. They don't really have much of a run game right now in Atlanta. So Atlanta is basically just Matt Ryan chugging the ball over to Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, and Austin Hooper, who I think is injured. So, I mean, they got a running back, another tight end called Graham, who will probably have a field day. So I'd say Matt Ryan's going to go about 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the Falcons should win pretty comfortably because the Bucs secondary, as we all know, cannot stop anything, and Jameis Winston's not going to be able to match the point totals that they put up.
So yeah, Buccaneers secondary. We've talked about their struggles all year. I think kind of going back to what was terrible about the game, and I had a picture of Bruce Arians there. You know, a week after we cut Vernon Hargraves, Jamel Dean doesn't see the field, and Jamel Dean had arguably an amazing bounce back game against the Cardinals, and I would say he was probably one of our defensive heroes. Played 0 snaps. 0 snaps. Why?
Oh, maybe he showed up late to a meeting or something. Who knows why? But yeah, it doesn't make absolutely no sense
Makes
after the game
no
he had.
sense. I don't understand the decision to do that. You
No,
know, a lot of the Bucks
only
beat
thing I can
writers
think
are
about is something maybe went on, maybe late to a meeting, maybe something we don't know in that context. But because there's no logical
it has
explanation
to
why.
be. A lot of the beat writers and message boards are saying that his skill set is man coverage, and Todd Bowles wanted to play zone against the Saints, so that's why. But if you have a playmaker and you're trying to develop a rookie, come on, like
Yeah,
he's got to be out there on that field, especially if you're committing to semi tanking. We're not going to make the playoffs. We're not gonna have a winning record. Let the young guys play. I mean, especially if you're thinking that this guy's going to be the cornerstone or an important player in the secondary. Guys got to play. Guys got to play against the Saints, against
yeah,
the
good
Cardinals.
experience.
Come on. So that's what's next for the Buccaneers. Fully expect a big loss. We'll have the spread on $10 Sports coming up later this week. I think it's Falcons by 4.5. I think the last I saw. So hot topics. This season's officially over. We talked about OJ Howard a little bit. I wanted to talk about maybe we kind of like breezed over it, but I mean, as an NFL team, how do you only rush the ball 8 times? I mean, I didn't do research on this, but I don't feel like I don't even know the last time that a team didn't run that often. I mean, for me, this is a big story because I understand we were down immediately 7-0. Then it went to or no, actually they kicked 2 field goals. Yeah, it was 3-0, 6-0, 13-0, and then it wasn't 20-0. It was 20-0 halfway through the second. So that's not really that fast. I mean, we got to 13-0 looking at the box score by the end of the first quarter. I mean, I still understand how you only run the ball 8 times. I mean, I think in the first quarter the Saints had the ball for 9 to 10 minutes. I get that. Had a couple 3-and-outs, but as an NFL team, how do you only run 8 times? I don't know. You tell me.
Lacking the offensive line. I mean, they probably just did not have confidence in the offensive line whatsoever. When they attempted to rush it, they realized that these people are going right. The defensive line is going right through it, and the only thing they can do is pass against this defense. I mean, Saints are a really good defense. So I mean, Marcus Lattimore is a great defender. I mean, that's why Mike Evans got pretty much stopped the first half. So it just came down to trying to make a play happen, and that's all I can think of. Cannot. There's no explanation for 8 rushes the whole game,
But, yeah, I mean, I
which
know
2 of them is the quarterback.
two of them
So
was him scrambling. So yeah,
exactly.
basically
So,
6 called
yeah,
runs. So great point. 6 called runs with 4 of them going to who I'm hoping is going to develop into a semi-feature back. Ronald
and then
Jones. I'm still haven't given up on you. I mean, he's still averaging 4 yards a carry. That's what you want from your running back.
yeah, for sure. And then you have the other running back, Agubawe, who had 2 carries for 0 yards.
Yeah, we are very committed to him, and you know, I love our third down backs and our third and fourth backs. I mean, they have some purpose, but come on, they're not going to break a game wide open for you. He's scored a couple touchdowns, but because they've been 1 yard runs or a 1 yard reception. This Bungawale unfortunately isn't going to be a game changer and really shift the momentum in your favor. So I don't understand, especially running only 8 times. There's no reason for him to be in. It's not like they were tired. It's not like Ronald Jones was tired after an 80-yard run. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it
Yeah,
were.
Ronald Jones 4. So technically, off running plays alone, we had 6 for 13 yards. That's taking away Jameis Winston's 2 scrambles.
Yeah.
And Ronald Jones averaging 3.3 a carry, which is not terrible. But yeah, I guess Bruce Arians had different agenda here. And in our only sack, we did have one, but it was on Taysom Hill. It was not Drew Brees.
Yeah.
So Drew Brees never got sacked the whole game.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a great observation there. You just saw the highlight of Mike Evans getting heated. I mean, do you think that the frustration finally starting to boil over? I mean, Mike's been on the team. Was he drafted the year before Jameis? So 6 years,
Yeah,
I think he's with us, right? He signed his big contract, and we're excited that he's going to be with us for a little bit. But I mean, how close are we to Mike Evans demanding a trade?
I mean,
Mike doesn't seem like that guy. I don't
exactly.
I don't see Mike Evans as Antonio Brown or I need to get out of here. You're going to trade me. But I mean, that's the most frustrated I've ever seen Mike Evans.
I think it was mostly the frustration was the offensive line. I mean, the offensive line. I mean, Ryan Jansen, our center, was not snapping the ball. There's a few plays where he snapped the ball not on time, which one of them he snapped early, which caused Jameis Winston's fumble. So I mean, there was a lot of plays that were not designed were not carried off the way they were designed to be carried off, and Ryan Jansen was a big portion of that reasoning. So I mean, he was just getting frustrated, I think, at that point with the offensive line, and it's like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, we're freaking losing because of you guys, and he's just getting frustrated. But I mean, he's still getting his 1,000 yards every season since he's been with the Buccaneers, which is awesome. He's getting his stats. He's getting paid. The only thing he's missing is his wins. And, just like any other player, you want to play the postseason. You want to play to win. And Mike Evans just hasn't seen his share of winning yet. So, I mean, I don't think he comes off as a guy who's going to demand a trade. I think he does like being part of Tampa and does like it here. But, I mean, there's going to be a point in his career where he's going to be like, all right, I've been here for 10 years, and the best I've ever done was win 6-7 games in a season. I want to go play for the Patriots. I just want to see what this postseason smells like.
Right.
So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one day he does say, hey, or he just doesn't renew his contract. What was his contract? 5 years, $80 million?
Right.
Maybe when that contract's over, he basically just says later.
Right.
Or
man.
it could be a time where the Bucs keep playing this way. They may trade him for some draft assets to rebuild for the future.
Yeah, hopefully that's with a different GM with a different scouting department and
It probably won't be a different GM because we have our GM locked up for another 4 or 5 years.
That's true. Yeah, and he's got that blackmail on the Glazers that's got him in there really good. What I really took away from Mike Evans getting that angry, I think some of that anger was definitely towards the offensive line. You saw him walking by Ryan Jensen, kind of yelling at him. But some of this has to be pointed at Jameis because you're playing for a guy for 5 years. And you can't hit one of the best receivers in the league on a fade route?
No, I mean,
come on.
That's just Jameis Winston.
It's Jameis. I mean, the announcer's like, oh, maybe there's some confusion on the route, or you're running it. It's like it's a fade route, and Jameis skies it, and easy pick. I mean, for me, that's my frustration as a fan. Is how are you playing with someone for 5 years and you can't make that throw?
I excuse me, I had a little yawn. It is a little late, but Jameis Winston, that's his thing. He can't hit people on stride, can't hit people on fades. Jameis Winston's game plan is pretty much toss it up and hopefully cross my fingers on Mike Evans or Chris Godwin catches it or Cameron Brate catches it. It's always been his game plan. He's never been a kind of guy who's going to hit people on target. It's just no surprise there. It's just the way Jameis Winston's been since Florida State, all the way back to Florida State.
Yeah.
Like I always told everybody, in Florida State, his best year, he had Kelvin Benjamin, was a big receiver.
And did
Kevin
he have
O'Leary?
Who was his running back? Did he have Dalvin Cook?
He had Dalvin Cook the year before he got drafted, so his last year he had
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook. The year before that he had
Who was running for Florida State back then?
I don't remember, maybe Wilder, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was James Wilder Jr., right?
Yeah, I think him. But yeah, that's just how it's always been with Jameis Winston. He's had those big targets in college that made him look good. And then he had Mike Evans, another big target, Cameron Brate, a big target that made him look good for a couple seasons. And they decided to bring Deshaun Jackson, which I told everybody was a terrible idea because Deshaun is going to get extremely frustrated when he sees that Winston can't hit him in stride. And it's exactly what happened.
And then, just kind of as we close our podcast and our video podcast, where do we go from here? I guess both as a team and as a fan. It's just you want to support this team, and you want to be ride or die with a team we've followed for 30 years. But just where do we go from here? This is as hopeless as I've felt as a fan in a long time, and we lived through the Schiano years, and we lived through the Raheem Morris years.
Yeah.
We have, and I know everyone's gonna say it's just year one of Bruce Arians, but we talked about this a couple shows ago. The guy's 67 years old. I mean, he's not bringing any sort of innovation to the team, and they don't seem any more disciplined than they have been in the past 5 or 6 years. They're still committing penalties at a pretty good clip. So it's just what's changing, and it's like the point I made with you a few weeks ago is this the Lovie Smith situation all over again? Because we bring in Lovie Smith, we were excited. Oh, we got an experienced NFL coach. No more Greg Schiano, no more Raheem Morris, and we saw how that went.
Yeah. Speaking of, you say 67. You know who the oldest NFL coach is?
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Yeah, he doesn't even look. He does not look like the oldest.
Oh, he's
crazy.
He's great. He's keeps himself in shape. Yeah, he's having fun on the field. Bruce Arians doesn't really look 66, 67 either, but he definitely looks closer to that than Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll looks like a young Richard Gere, right?
Yeah, if somebody told me he was like in his mid-50s, I'd believe it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But anyways, go back to it. Yeah, I mean, where we go from here, I'd say what we do is we go ahead and we just kind of figure out how to boost up our secondary, get us a quarterback because the window is closing, and give us 2 seasons. If we're still struggling, we're going to have to go full rebuild, and we lose Mike Evans, we lose Levante David, I'd say. But going back to what you're saying, it's another Lovie Smith situation. As of right now, I'd say it's looking like it because Jameis Winston does not look any better at all. And I know we have a quarterback.
Get the whisperer. Get the quarterback whisperer.
Maybe Jameis Winston needs a hearing aid because he's not whispering loud enough for Jameis Winston to hear him. So that might be something for us to consider. Or maybe he shouldn't whisper. Maybe he should be a quarterback yeller. Start yelling at Jameis Winston a little bit more. But yeah, he's not looking promising. But this is not the quarterback he chose. This is the quarterback he inherited, and I'm sure part of his deal was, hey, you're coming over here, but you have to have Jameis Winston. We're going to get rid of any good quarterback, and we're not going to bring a good backup. So your time and effort, everything's going to Jameis Winston. So he has to own it, and that's basically what he's doing at this point. So we will see next year if he's still here, and what quarterback he brings to the table, and see how that quarterback grows. But that's going to be the difference here is a quarterback and secondary is basically what we need to be looking forward to as fans for next year, and as a team, that's the moves you got to make. So
Great. Where do you have us finishing? Maybe 5-11. I'm thinking 5-11.
yeah, 5-11 sounds pretty good because we got left on the schedule.
Maybe
We
we'll
got the
win.
Falcons
We'll win
next
one
week.
of the Atlanta Falcons games. Maybe.
Yeah, split that one. Maybe win. We usually win in Atlanta and lose at home, typically with that team. Which last year I think we did the opposite last year with them, unless we got swept by them twice, which probably did.
Do we have a? I think we took care. Carolina's done. Saints are done. We have left. I know we play the Texans. I play the Colts.
Colts, yep.
Colts, Texans. I had the schedule up here actually. Let me.
Lions, we got Lions. I feel
Ooh,
something
we
close.
could,
Yeah,
in,
the
in
Lions.
Detroit. Yeah, maybe that's a win there, and one of the Falcons. I think that's it. Oh, and the Jaguars.
Jackson, that's right.
That's interesting. Well, that's maybe we go 6-10. That'd be interesting.
I'd say more 5-11.
5-11, I think, is more likely to. So that has been it for us, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We're in the process of getting all our shows on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, among others. We just switched over to our new platform. We're really excited. Just finished up uploading most of the $10 sports episodes, so you can now download and listen to us on the go on Apple CarPlay, on Android Auto, whatever is most convenient for you, and we'll have the rest of our shows up there as well. So you'll be able to search for us by show, the $10 sports. We'll have this show up there as well, Buc'ing Hangover, and of course our third show. Oh, my third show, the Thunderdome Podcast. I had to think about that one there. So Thunderdome Podcast, you'll be able to find that as well. My little solo project about the Lightning, who took a big L today again against the St. Louis Blues, 3-1. They are not looking great. They had a brief period of looking good, and they're back to their old losing ways. Anyway, follow us on Twitter. You got Moose at $10 Sports. You'll see it right above you on the ticker at $10 Sports. And follow Emrod as well on Twitter. He's at Balls Brews Bros. All together, Balls Brews Bros. That's where you'll find Emrod on Twitter. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Bucking Hangover. We'll be back next week as the Buccaneers take on the Falcons. Got $10 sports coming up later this week, as well as another Thunderdome podcast. Have a great night.
I'm not sure if you guys can see it back there, but Moose's little Coca-Cola.
Oh, that's true.
He has a count.
The Winston IMT count at 18. Let's see if we can get that to 20 for our next episode. We'll keep you guys up to date.
We should do an over/under 25 to see where he ends the season. Maybe a little side $10 sports thing. We'll talk about it on there since that's what that.
Let's talk about that on $10 sports. I like that. I might take that. So it's been Moose. It's been Emrod on Bucking Hangover. Have a great night. We'll see you next week. Go Bucks. Beat those Falcons.
And the Falcons haven't given up a touchdown in 8 quarters, so not looking good.
Fire those cannons!
Fire those cannons. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Touchdowns, haven't they? Fire those cannons!
Oh my.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?